So why do we have experiences that when we go through them, they're challenging or maybe not as enjoyable, but then a period of time passes, and when we look back on those events or those challenges, they don't seem as bad as you thought. You remember them better than you possibly did. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brooke Scutt. Welcome to Momentum Live. So I want to talk to you guys about a book that we were reading with a group of people. We do a book club. We meet every week, and the book is called The Power of Moments, and it's by Chip and Dan Heath. And they talk about how peaks, pits, and transitions, which we're going to talk about what those are in defining moments. But one of the things I think is just so fascinating is they detail a story about going to Disneyland. And they ask parents, if you rated your experience throughout the day, like how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? So, the first event is like first thing in the morning, trying to wrangle your kids out of the hotel and then into the park. You rate that as like a 6. And then, you ride a roller coaster, and after that, feeling that rush of excitement and all the adrenaline, you rate that moment as a 10. And then spending money for an expensive lunch in the park, maybe that's about a 7. And then, sometime after that, waiting in line for another ride for 45 minutes, well, that's really about a 3. So if you took all of those moments and you averaged them together, that would quantify the day as like a 6.5 if you average the moments. But what was fascinating was that psychologists would say that you would actually look back on the day and remember it as a 9, which I find to be so fascinating. So what psychologists ultimately have defined this is the peak end rule. So what you remember is the peak event, so a very positive defining moment, and then how the event ended or how the day ended. And, just understanding what a defining moment is. So a defining moment, they're actually short experiences that are memorable and meaningful. So we talked about peaks. Peaks are going to be positive defining moments. Well, pits are going to be negative defining moments. And then there's transitions, which are going to be obviously what they sound like, transitioning either a promotion or a graduation or a milestone type event. So something that's really interesting is that, the big surprise is that great service, customer service experiences are mostly forgettable and occasionally remarkable. This was in the book. And I just thought that was so powerful, that they are mostly forgettable and then only occasionally remarkable. So as you think about your business, whether you're in a frontline customer service business or not, we're all in some version of customer service. What can we do to help create these peak experiences and these defining moments through our process? So, I'm in real estate, so I'm definitely in a customer service business, and I'm also in a process business. So you can imagine that there would be a peak experience while someone is purchasing a house, and then obviously as it closes and they take possession, then that's kind of the end of the event. So what can we do to focus on creating peak experiences, especially if that's what people are going to remember? I'm still just lingering on this mostly forgettable and occasionally remarkable. So when you understand the psychology of how people, they don't think about the entire process of the event. They don't think about the entire duration. It's called the process of, say, purchasing a house, since we're going to use my analogy. It's duration neglect is what it's called. And they just remember certain peak defining moments throughout the process. So think about that. I highly encourage that you pick up this book and read it, because there are a lot of tools and resources. There are 4 elements in which you can help create peak and defining moments. But it is so interesting how we look back and how we remember an experience. And a couple of examples I just want to give you really, really quickly are, think about, sorry guys out there, but for women, think about childbirth, for example. When you go through it, it's pretty traumatic. But when you look back on it, you don't remember it as painful as it really was during the process. Another good one is when you think about going on vacation, like the example here, going on vacation, it could be very hectic and overwhelming in the schedule and trying to wrangle everybody and get everybody together. But when you reflect back and you remember that vacation, you remember it fondly and positively. And then my favorite example of this is think about a person that you possibly dated early on, maybe an adolescent relationship. As an adult now, you look back and that was the picture perfect, idyllic relationship. But going through it, let's be honest, it wasn't that great. So anyway, it's a principle that we experience, but I want you to consider how you can utilize that in creating moments, in creating a positive, memorable, defining experiences for your clients and those around you. I hope you guys have a great Monday and a great week, and I'll see y'all next week.